Long ago, the goat took the blame. Hands pressed, sins confessed, they sent it away.
They sure did.
Out the city gates, burdened by what wasn't its own. But what happens when that goat got rhythm and the world calls its song crime? Yeah, this one's for the scapegoats.
That's for the scapegoats, y'all. Come on up in here. Get the lights up. Share the live. We about to get into it. Bringing some scholarship for that ass. Come on.
We the mirror they break when truth gets too loud. Built the nation's backbone, they erased us from the crowd. They brought the mob and crazy crime hidden the suits, but blame the block for the fruits of their own roots. They profit off sin and wash hands clean while we get the cuffs and the guillotine dream. Yet we still sing mercy, still move divine, even when the cross and the bars intertwine. We on the freedom beam.
Come on.
Let the light redeem.
Let the light redeem.
They can lay it all on me.
Lay it all on me. I still believe.
They can't bury the truth.
Can't bury the truth.
Cause the soul still gleams.
Soul still gleams. We the scapegoats, baby. Freedom beam.
Edited the pain.
Come on.
Made our struggle look like the face of the stain.
Come on.
Mafia dime. Wall Street stole. We got the bars. They got control. Prohibition made gangsters rich overnight, but somehow we the villains in the white man's sight. Cameras roll, the blame repeats. A scapegoat symphony, the media sweep. But truth don't die. It just changes name from Negro to hero, from victim to flame. Our voices thunder. They tremble at sound. You can exile a goat, but the soul come around. Scapegoat walked through the desert.
Come on.
And out of the dust came rhythm.
Out of the dust came rhythm.
A million daughters, each one humming, we still here. They
Yeah.
sent us away to die, but we came back singing freedom. Still rise. We on the freedom beam.
Freedom
Let the
beam.
light redeem.
Let the light redeem.
Lay it all on me.
Lay it all on me. I still believe. Come on. Can't bury the truth. We about to get started, y'all. Just let the people get in the room real quick.
The rhythm don't fade, every chain they built.
Y'all come in here, get the lights up. We starting episode 2 of American by Blood, not by Boat. We going deep.
Still rise in the face of polluted air. We the sermon in the cipher, the light in the drum. Freedom ain't coming, it already come. This ain't revenge, it's revelation and rhyme. The scapegoat lives eternal this time.
Come on.
We on the freedom beam.
I think I'm going to end with the music too. Still believe. I'm going to be glitching in and out, but the show must go on. Get the lights up when you come in the room. Can't bury the truth.
Every scapegoat you sent away came back
Singing freedom. Come on. All right, y'all. Listen, we about to get into it. Waiting for some more people to get in the room, so I'll just go over quick announcements. Listen, this is episode 2. We did episode 1 yesterday, so if you missed episode 1, go back and watch it on YouTube. American by Blood, not by Boat. The story that must be told. It must be told. It must be told. And I told y'all we about to go deep, man. I don't know how deep y'all want me to go. I might have to make episode 2. I might have to even break episode 2 up into 2-3 parts, and this might become a docu-series, y'all. This is how thorough I'm gonna get with this series. This might become a docu-series. I'm dead serious, family. There's some things you might not have known. You're probably gonna learn some today, because when I tell you that they have made Black Americans the scapegoat, when I tell you that they have dumped all their evil deeds upon the Black community and tried to make us the face of their degeneracy, I'm gonna prove it, family. I'm gonna prove it. Any YT, any Asian, any Hispanic, any African, any Caribbean, if you got any common sense, this is what you want to pay attention to this. Black Americans, if you don't know my foundational Black Americans, just in case you don't know, just come in here and get the scholarship so you know how to fight. I'm having some lighting problems, as you can see. I'm having some lighting, but I'll fix that. They don't want me to holler at y'all. They don't want me to give y'all the game, but I'm gonna give it to y'all. Let me see if we get this light back on. There we go. So, yeah, man, this is gonna be one that you probably gonna want to table and come back to, and this is gonna be one that you probably gonna want to table and come back to, and you'll see my method to my madness as you follow along. But I'll say this, family, I got some new NFTs. These are NFTs just for my channel. This is not for the FBA coin. FBA coin, we are doing our NFT private sale, I guess you can call it that, by invitation only. You can get the FBA coin NFTs. Those are by invitation only. But anybody who watches this docu-series, anybody hearing the sound of my voice can purchase my NFTs right now. If you are interested, just send me a message in the back end, and I'll send you the link. You just copy and paste that link, and my NFTs are just $1. But what's interesting about these NFTs is by you possessing this one NFT, just by you possessing this one NFT, you are going to get future NFTs that will automatically go to your wallet that you purchased this one NFT from, of all my viral shows. So any shows right now that have over 500 views or 25 likes, NFT is going to be minted for that show and automatically sent to your wallet. So this one NFT that costs $1, I don't know how long I'm going to charge $1, family, but for right now, they're just $1. You're going to get future shows and future NFTs of these shows, okay? And also, stay tuned. My album's about to drop on the blockchain. So my album's already out you can already run it on Spotify, but I'm going to come out with some minted NFTs of my music on the blockchain that you can get also for $1. So each song you can get a minted NFT for $1. But if you're interested, just send me a message in the inbox. I'll send you the copy and paste link, and you go ahead and get the NFT, and you'll get my future shows. In any show that goes over the criteria of 500 views or 25 likes, you'll automatically get NFTs of that show sent right to your wallet just by purchasing the one NFT, the Too Much Moxie NFT. So now that we got that out the way, family, go ahead and get the likes up, man. Don't be a hater. We about to get into it. We about to get some scholarship up. I'm back, man. I'm about to start streaming, getting my streams back up like they used to be, family. I've been focused on this FBA coin, and it's phenomenal. All I gotta say is stay tuned. A secret launch is coming soon, and Yeah, you'll just have to. If you're not in my Telegram, you won't know. I'll just say it like that. If you're in the Telegram already, you're gonna be one of the first to know when we launch. But I'll just say coming soon. But check this out, family. We're about to get into some scholarship real quick. Y'all see the title? It's 5 points and false blame. I keep telling y'all that we never brought crime to America. Okay? Crime came to us. Okay? The crime came to us. We never brought the crime over here. The crime was imported. Imported crimes that were blamed on foundational Black Americans. And I'm about to prove the point. Real quick. So this might be a little long. This might be a little tedious, but I'm just going to tell you, hang in there. Hang in there, because I'm going somewhere with this, and we're going to break it down. I just want to spend the time. I don't want to rush this thing. I want to actually spend the time, family. I want to spend the time, and I want to just kind of lay out the big picture for you guys and kind of beat the unalived horse until you get it. You know, I kind of want to do it like that. So we're going to get into it. And this is going to be great scholarship. You know, all you immigrants that don't want to do the research. Well, guess what? The research is here. Just come watch this and you're going to understand who Black Americans are and what was put on us, because all that stuff, all those stereotypes and things that they try to blame us for and put on us, that was not us. And if you stay a little bit longer, we're going to get on some, I'm going to open up the live and we're going to talk about some things, and we're going to get on a few of these tethers heads for lying and not want to tell the truth on us. You know, we're gonna do that, family. But here we go. Let's get into it, family. Let's just jump into it and not want to tell the truth on us. You know, we're gonna do that, family. But here we go. Let's get into it, family. Let's just jump into it. You know, getting my notes together real quick. But let's just jump into it, family, and launch. Okay. So the first episode was just the introduction. Shout out to Ishmael. The first show yesterday was just the introduction. This is the second episode of the first show. Okay, American by blood, not by boat. The story that must be told. This is what all the immigrants who are Johnny come lately. This is what y'all don't know. And I'm kind of gonna start in the middle and then work my way to the end. And then I'm going to jump all the way back to the beginning, back to slave ships, back to Aboriginal Blacks. And this is going to be probably going to be a docu series, family. It's going to be that good. So let's get into it, family. America loves to pretend gang culture was born in Black neighborhoods. America loves to pretend that gang culture was born in Black neighborhoods. They point at Harlem, they point at Detroit, they point at Chicago, they point at Compton, and they try to make you think the blueprint started with us. But no, family, no. The first gangs weren't Black. Let me say that again. The first gangs were not Black. The first organized gangs weren't born in Watts or the South Side, family. It wasn't born in any Black neighborhood. They were born in the 5 Points. Let me say that again. They were born in the 5 Points, New York, a slum packed with Irish immigrants, German laborers, overcrowded tenants, poverty, prostitution, corruption, and desperation. And they want to make that all Black. But this is not where it started from, family. It started all YT. But somehow, you know how the media is. You know how the propaganda and witchcraft is. Somehow, we ended up being the face of crime. Where the immigrants at? We're the Africans, we're the Caribbean. Somehow we became the face of crime. See, here's the difference, family, from us and them. See, they come from a place where it's only them, family. It's all African or it's all Caribbean, right? We live here in America where they imported immigrants, YT immigrants, and they brought all their crime came with them. All their crime, all their scams, all their schemes came with them. So we can't really get the blame for that, family. We didn't start none of this. But somehow we ended up being the face of crime. That's the story they never wanted to track. Because if you follow the crime trail, from the beginning, it leads to something uncomfortable for America to admit. Irish gangs were running streets before black people even had freedom papers, family. This episode is going to start in the 1800s, the early 1800s, family, when we were still enslaved. German street mobs were throwing bricks before we even had voting rights. Tammany Hall, built mostly by immigrant political machines, controlled police, politicians, and judges before we had protection from lynching, family. Think about that. Yet when America talks urban danger, guess whose face shows up? Ours. Our face shows up when they talk urban danger, but they forgot to mention all these YT immigrants, all these Irish gangs, all these German street mobs, all these Tammany Hall immigrants over here, family. Okay, I'll hit you later. Shout out to Keena, the story. Y'all go follow my homegirl Keena. She's from my hometown, so y'all give her a follow. Tammany Hall, Germany street mobs, Irish gangs was running around way before we were even free, family. These gangs been here before us. They didn't start with us. Black people did not start gangs. We didn't do that. We were enslaved, family. We were under tyranny, family. But they want to make you believe that we started it all. We are the face of urban danger. Why? Because black people weren't allowed to be victims in America, in the American narrative. We're the only ones that have to get over it, right? We're not allowed to be victims, family. We're told, get over it. Whatever happened to you happened hundreds of years ago. Just get over it. We're never allowed to be victims. But YT people can be victims. Asians can be victims. Hispanics can be victims. Middle Easterns can be victims. Africans, Caribbeans, everybody's allowed to be a victim but us. We are the only ones, family, that they say, get over it. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Work hard. That's what they tell us. Work hard. You're in America. You can do it. Family, we about to break it all down. We're about to break it all down. See, when chaos hit, we had to be cast as the threat. Even when the real criminals were YT and poor immigrant mobs destroying their own neighborhoods and occasionally destroying ours, because this is what they do, family. They want to say, why do black people always, why do they destroy their own neighborhoods? That's funny, because isn't that exactly what y'all used to do? Before y'all got that generational wealth head start? Isn't that what y'all used to do? Isn't that what the immigrant mobs used to do? Destroy their neighborhoods. And then you know what they would do after they destroy theirs, family? They would be so mad they messed up their own neighborhood, they come over and mess with ours. That's what white complacency does, family. White complacency leads to black people being terrorized and lynched in their own city just for being black, family. they would mess up their own neighborhood, family. And then when they realize they messed up their own stuff, they so mad that we got stuff, they go mess up our stuff too. That's what they do, family. That's what they do. But yet, when America talks urban danger, they always want to point the finger at us. Always want to point the finger at us. Let's be real. 5 Points wasn't a black neighborhood. The 5 Points wasn't a black neighborhood. It was an Irish battleground. The Dead Rabbits didn't look like us. The Bowery Boys weren't wearing afros. German anarchists weren't shouting power to the people, family. But newspapers of the time still ran stories warning about Negro threats. It's like they would overlook YT crime. Isn't that familiar? Isn't that kind of strange? That's the name of the game. Crime imported, chaos allowed, black people blamed. That's the name of the game, family. That's the name of the game. In this episode, we're going to talk about the first great wave of immigration in America, family. When white ethnic immigrants weren't seen as white yet. When they built gangs to survive, when political power was traded with bloodshed and whiskey, and how black Americans got caught in a war we didn't even start, we didn't even fuel, but still got arrested for. That's what we're going to talk about today. That's what this episode is about, man. I'm going to show you, family, break it down, how gangs started here in America. And this was before they got their YT privilege, family. Again, in the early 1800s, family, what was black people doing in the early 1800s, family? Did you ever think about that? Did you know gangs been here since the early 1800s, family? Did you know that? What were black people doing in the early 1800s? I wonder. So we're going to talk about the 5 points, family. We're going to talk about I wonder. So we're going to talk about the 5 points, family. We're going to talk about the draft riots, Tammany Hall, the Dead Rabbits, the Bowery Boys, the Plug Uglies, gunpowder, knives, political corruption, and immigration rage. And then we'll ask. We got to ask these questions, family. Yeah, just go watch Gangs of New York. That's facts. If you don't believe me, go watch Gangs of New York. It talks all about it, family. The natives versus the Dead Rabbits. Do you remember that? Do you remember that, family? We're going to ask these questions, family. How did their crime become Black American stereotypes? Why did their gangs get movies, folklores, and silent forgiveness, while our struggle got mugshots, prison time, and the word thug stamped on our entire lineage? Why did that happen? Who kicked you off? It just kicked me off. What kicked you off, Nish? What happened? Think about that, family. Why did they romanticize the Italian mob? But when it come to our movies, they made us look like, they made us look like the worst thing on planet Earth. They made us look like the scum of the earth. They played up into our stereotypes, family. The stereotypes that wasn't ours, family. Again, what were we doing in the early 1800s, family? Does anybody know history? Does anybody know history? What were black people doing in the early 1800s? I tell you one thing, we weren't walking around free. Not without papers. Not without papers, we weren't. And if you've been told gangs are a black problem, you've already been lied to. That's that Charlie Kirk. Now remember Charlie Kirk, man. Oh, black people are thugs and they need to get jobs and they need to work. See, that's that that's that I'm white and I say so family. That's that I'm white and I say so family. But we about to correct the record today. Yeah, black people, let me tell you something. What were black people doing in the early 1800s? We were getting paper genocide. In the South, we were still enslaved, right? The ones in the North were under tyranny. They couldn't go out after a certain time at night, right? They had to be in their home. They couldn't be caught on certain parts of town. Them sundown towns was a lot more hectic. You understand what I'm saying? And they were pretty much walking on eggshells, family, because the moment YT people got frustrated, what happened to those good black folks? Them black folks living up in the North. They were getting abused, family. They were getting put. They were less than citizens at that time, family. Think about it. In the early 1800s, when these organized crimes came in from immigrants, and I'm going to keep stressing that point, they came in from immigrants, right? What were we doing? Just think about that. Makes you want to ask that question, right? Just got to ask that question. What were black people doing in the early 1800s when the Irish gang was running around? When the German gangs were running around? When the English gangs were running around? Remember the movie Gangs of New York? The natives? This was around the time, family, that YT people were calling themselves native. I wonder who else shares that name, native. They were calling themselves Native Americans. Ooh, family. They were calling themselves Native American. YT people were calling themselves Native Americans. Think about that, family. The first person to use the term native were YT. Not before they slapped that title on the Siberians. The Know Nothing, the Native Party. Come on. Facts. The Know Nothings and the Native Party, family. Those were YT. Those were English. Those were the English. Wannabe Mayflowers. Trying to say they got more stake to this land than the new booty Irish, the new booty Germans, right? The Tammany Hall people. They were trying to, everybody was, listen, at that time, New York was the Wild Wild West. And everybody was trying to sink their teeth into what was going on. So let's rewind a little bit. To understand how gang culture really began in America, you need to understand who hit the shoreline first in massive numbers and why they hit it desperate. These were the lowest of the lows coming over to California. These were the outcasts that were hitting the shores of New York. They couldn't hack it where they come from. These degenerates couldn't hack it in their own homeland. They were being unalived through famine and all types of things, family. They were under tyranny from the crown. Family, when they say send us your degenerates, send us your low lives, they meant it, man. They sent all their prisoners and thugs over to the American shoreline. They kind of like what El Salvador did. Remember El Salvador? El Salvador, they became the safest country in the world because what did they do when Biden was president? They kicked out all their criminals. The El Salvador president kicked out all their criminals and sent them to America. And El Salvador became one of the safest countries in Central America. Does that ring a bell? That kind of sounds like what England did, right? What European countries did. They kicked what the Eastern Europeans did. They kicked out all their degenerates and sent them all over here to America. So in Ireland, around that time, the Great Famine wasn't just a food crisis. It was a genocide by neglect. Potatoes failed, landlord evicted tenants, and hundreds of thousands died. Hundreds and thousands were unalive, family. The ones who survived crawled into ships and headed for America. They didn't arrive with wealth. They arrived with ribs showing, babies starving, clothes torn, broken English, no skills that translated into urban American life. They had no skills, family. Remember I tell you, family, we were the hardest working people on the planet, and we had all the skills. They came to a country with zero skills, family. Who taught them? I wonder who taught these people the skills so they can pay the bills. Family, we were the most skilled people in slavery and coming out of slavery, family. We were the most skilled people in the North and in the South. Let me say that again. We were the most skilled laborers in the North and in the South. We were the most skilled people in slavery and out of slavery, family. I want you to understand that. They didn't arrive with no wealth, family. They didn't arrive with no wealth. They came to America with absolutely nothing. They were looking for a handout. They landed in the northeastern cities, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore. They flooded ghettos, family. Flooded ghettos. Lived in overcrowded tenements with sewage in the streets and were met with signs that read, "No Irish need apply." Irish equals ape. Papist invaders go home. remember, home. remember, the Irish were considered the N-word just like we were, family. They were outcasts when they came over here. I'm not trying to give them a pass. I'm just saying what was actually documented. The Irish did not arrive here on good terms. They didn't get their whiteness until early 1900s. We're going all the way back to the 1800s, family. When you're starving, homeless, and jobless, you got two options. Work for scraps or fight for survival. Even if it means bending rules, forming crews, running corners, protecting blocks, and enforcing territory. I want you to let that sink in, fam. I'm going to table that and come back to that. See, when you're starving, homeless, and jobless, I'm going to say it again because some of y'all are going to catch it early. When you're starving, homeless, and jobless, you have two options. Work for scraps or fight for survival. Even if it means bending the rules, family. Uh-oh, family. Am I giving them an out? Am I telling them they had to do what they had to do to survive? Some Irish is... family. Am I giving them an out? Am I telling them they had to do what they had to do to survive? Some Irish assimilated into the workforce, but others formed what would become America's first named street gangs. This is the Irish, family. This is the ones that family, listen. Let me say this, family. Think about this. A lot of your ghetto and your bad and ratchet behavior, it started with the Irish before they ever put that stereotype on us. Did y'all know that the Irish, you want to see loud, you want to see ratchet, you want to see ghetto, you want to see thuggery, the Irish were the first. Listen, family, how did we get that stereotype, family? How did black people get that stereotype when the Irish was the first to do it? And they did it so well. I'm talking about they had no manners, spit in the street, defecate in the street, no poise, no swag, just thuggish mentality, thuggish ways. I mean, they came over uneducated. A lot of them were uneducated. No, it didn't start with the Southerners. It started with the Northerners. It started with the Irish. You talk about uneducated ghetto and just living in the ghettos and living. Listen, you ain't seen bad until you seen poor white people. Let me tell you something. I've seen poor black people, but they don't look nothing like poor white people. Poor white people, they just look, oh my God. Think about how dirty and filthy and lice infested they were living up over there, family. Think about that. I'm just saying, you ain't seen filth till you seen YT filth. It's a different type of filth. It's just different. Okay. Now the Germans came too. Let's not leave out the Germans. The German immigrants were different. They often came with trades, carpenters, brewers, tailors, but still landed low-wage neighborhoods, still landed in low-wage neighborhoods. Security. They brought beer houses, cultural enclaves, and sometimes radical politics. Socialist movements, anarchist organizers, and underground opposition groups reacting to each European monarchy. Think about that. So Germans, they had some trade. They had some skills. At least they came with something. They came with a little bit of skills. But this is where you start hearing about all these isms. They brought all these isms with them. Fascisms, anarchies, underground opposition. I mean, they brought that. While many Germans built stable working class neighborhoods, others formed networks that participate in underground vice trades. While many Germans built stable working class neighborhoods, others formed prostitution rings. See, family, poverty equals pressure, and pressure equals formation of gangs. Let's stop right there and let's just say the truth out loud. Gangs are born when survival is not provided but must be forced. When the system gives you no home, no protection, no food, you create your own system, even if it's illegal. Now, this doesn't excuse crime, but this kind of explains it. I want y'all to read between the lines what I'm saying here, family. I hope you catch on what I'm talking about. Some of y'all already know where I'm going with this and why I'm saying it a certain way, because I want you to understand that these same conditions were placed on us, but there was no one there to give us grace or mercy when we were faced with work for low wages or fight. But this group that came over here, they were faced with the same two options. They chose the degenerate route. Not all of them, but they brought their crime with you. Look, you bring your hard workers and you brought your crime with you. They brought their hard workers and they brought their crime with them. Irish youth formed crews to defend themselves and secure income. Germans created protective alliances. That's how the early criminal networks began. It started with the Irish and the Germans, family. Welcome to 5 Points. How's that for an introduction? All of this collided in one legendary slum, 5 Points, New York. Described by newspapers as the world's criminal district in the civilized world, 5 Points was a melting pot of chaos. Mud-soaked streets, sewage running like rivers, whiskey halls on every corner, overcrowded boarding houses, fights, thefts, knife brawls daily. This was daily, family. Daily. And yes, it was mostly Irish and German bodies in those fights. So this is where you get your this is where you get your boxings from, family. Your 𝗥𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘵𝘁𝘀 and all that stuff from. It started with the Irish and the Germans brawling it out, duking it out. Gambling. They brought all that. Prostitution. Family, what were we doing in the 1800s? I'm just curious. What did anybody remember what black folks was doing in the 1800s? Not that. From 5 Points came the first gang legends. The Dead Rabbits were mainly Irish, known for street warfare. The Bowery Boys, nativists, right? Mostly Irish American and anti-immigrant themselves, right? The Plug Uglies, known for violent assaults and election interferences. The Roach Guards, Irish toughs known for firehouse fight. These were your firefighters. A lot of your Irish became firefighters and they became police officers, family. This was going on in the early 1800s. Immigrants I want y'all to understand, immigrants means crime. That's just what it means. You're gonna get a few hard workers. You're gonna get a few good ones, but you're gonna get a lot of bad ones. I'm sorry, family. When Trump was saying immigrants bring crime, he was right. He was right. Hell, his family might have been one of them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's do the homework on that. Let's do the research on that. I'm trying to tell you, family, that early 1800s. Did you notice something? All the Dead Rabbits, the Bowery Boys, the Plug Uglies, the Roach Guards. Did you notice something? No Negro gangs listed here because there were none. No Harlem sets, no Chicago crews, no Black Panthers, no Crips, no Bloods. Why? Because in the early 1800s, there were none. 1830, there were none. 1850, they were none. 1865, even after emancipation, there were none. All of this was Irish and German thuggery going on. Those terms that I just said, Harlem Sets, Chicago Crews, Black Panthers, Crips, Bloods, it took a whole century later. For those things to come. Shout out to crypto. But already newspapers, even while reporting about Irish gang crimes, family, they sprinkled in language about Negro criminality as a lurking threat, even when we weren't central to the violence. Think about that, family. In the newspapers, family, while they were talking about Irish gangs, the propaganda was still in full effect. They still had to tell you how bad, how untrustworthy, how degenerate the Negro class was. And again, family, where were we in the early 1800s? We were living under tyranny or we were enslaved. That's it. That's the only choice we had. We had to live under tyranny. That means get paid. We had the skills, but they gonna pay us. They were paying us like we were immigrants, family. They were paying us below a living wage. Okay, We were getting paid below a living wage and under extreme tyranny. All while the Germans and the Irish were running amok, starting gangs and doing degenerate things, doing what hood rats do. All the Germans and the Irish were doing what hood rats do. They were hanging out with their hood rat friends and starting problems. That's what they were doing. Why? Because blaming us was becoming a habit, even when we weren't in the room, family. That's what they do, family. Listen, they're gonna talk about all this. They're gonna make sure, even in today's news, they're gonna say, such and such unalive, 30 people on a shooting spree. He went to a school and he was unaliving people. And then right in that same sentence, they're gonna say, yep. But 5 people died over 5 people unalived over in Chicago over a drive-by. You know, black people are so terrible. You know, we can't trust them. We gotta bring in the National Guard and the military because they're so out of control. You see that propaganda, family? See that propaganda, family? So I don't know. I don't know how long y'all want me to go on this, but I'm trying to slow it down. If I'm moving too fast, let me know. I'll slow it down. You know, if I need to move faster, let me know. I can speed it up. Okay. But I really want to kind of nail this home. I kind of want to linger just a little bit because I want y'all to understand. I'm going to keep saying, but where were black people when the Irish and the Germans were running around doing their thuggery? Where were we? I'm gonna talk about how 5 Points crime didn't just stay in the streets. It walked all the way from the streets to City Hall, family, wearing Tammany Hall suits. Think about these. Think about this. When did our gang members get to become politicians, family? Let me say that again. When did black gang members get to go from thuggery and extreme violence, right, and get to walk themselves right into the politics, family? We got denied that access. But guess what happened? The Irish and the German were allowed to do that. Matter of fact, a lot of immigrants, have you just noticed, family, that a lot of immigrants, they almost get walked into the political arena, don't they? They kind of get walked into the political arena, and we kind of they're kind of like stop signs and things to prevent us from moving forward into that. You know what I'm saying? Just an observation, family, just an observation. When gangs got names like Dead Rabbits, Bowery Boys, and the Street Wars, that weren't ours. When the gangs got those names, right? I want you to understand that they were the problem, but we were the scapegoat. They were the problem, but we were the scapegoat. By the time 5 Points became the problem, but we were the scapegoat. By the time 5 Points became an infamous gang life, this stuff wasn't just random anymore. It was structured. Crews had identity. It's like they started. This stuff wasn't just random anymore. It was structured. Crews had identity. It's like they started out like little kids, but then they grew up. And they started saying, oh, okay. They started getting a reputation. They started getting territory. They started adding in rituals, leaders, colors, initiation. It went from a low-level street gang straight up to organized crime. Maybe they started when they was 12, 13, 14, but by the time they was 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, they figured out, man, hey, man, they organized this thing. They organized this thing. This became organized crime, family. Organized crime. The same America that will later say, why do black people form gangs? That same America never admitted it watched white ethnic gangs create the blueprint a century earlier. So if they want to blame black folks for anything, man, we got it from y'all. Who taught? What were black people doing in the early 1800s, family? I'm gonna keep drilling that home. What were black people doing in the early 1800s? We were either under tyranny in the North, or we were slaves in the South. That's what we were doing. It's just time that we call it out. Why don't they ever admitted it that it started with YT ethnic groups first? They created the blueprint for gangs a century earlier than us. The dead rabbits, the name itself meant fear. Legends say they threw a dead rabbit into a street before a fight to see. Y'all remember the movie Gangs of New York? These were Irish street soldiers, knife fighters, club swingers, known to charge with bricks, broken bottles, blackjacks. They fought for survival, pride, and power. Now notice that, family. Notice that, family. They fought for survival, pride, and power. They were gangs. But understand, I'm saying it a certain way so y'all can actually get it. This is what they want to see. When they do stuff, when they do their dirt, family, they're fighting for pride. They're fighting for survival. They're fighting for power. But when we do stuff, family, we're just degenerates. That's why it's in our blood. Our ancestors were criminals. You know, they try to just make it seem like, oh man, you didn't have a father in the home. Did the dead rabbits have fathers? Think about that, family. They say that it's because of the home. Did the dead rabbits have fathers? Think about that, family. They say that it's because black men did not have fathers in the homes. That's why they grow up to be gangs, thugs, criminals, and go to jail. I want you to think about that, family. That's what they say. But yet these were Irish gang. What happened? Did the Irish not have any fathers? Did the Germans not have any fathers? Did the Italians not have any fathers? Why did they join gangs? Why did they join gangs, family? Just something to think about. The Bowery Boys, right? These were nativists. Again, another group of Irish Americans, right? But they were here, I guess, a little bit earlier than the immigrant Irish. They were native born with whitey Americans of mostly Irish descent. Now they had some English in there. They were, the Bowery Boys, they thought they was Mayflower. They thought they were foundational. I don't know. Right? But they were mostly descendants of Irish who hated the new Irish arrivals and anyone they saw as foreign. So these were the old immigrants who now decided to call themselves the nativists, right? They were immigrants when they first got here, but now they're the nativists. Maybe they were first generations. Maybe they were the sons of the ones that came here in the beginning, and now they're all of a sudden they feel empowered. But they were mostly Irish and English descent who hated new Irish arrivals and anyone they saw as foreign family. Even though their parents were likely immigrants themselves, they wore stovepipe, hats, and fireman-style uniforms. Their loyalty to nativism turned their fights into political propaganda tools. I'm going to make y'all go back and watch Gangs of New York again, family, so this can all make sense. Understand, family, they glorify those movies. If y'all seen the movie, right? I think it was what's the brother's name? I can't even remember the brother's name. His name at the tip of my tongue, but y'all know who he is. Very popular actor, plays in that movie, Gangs of New York. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. But somebody help me in the comments. What's the brother's name that plays in the movie Gangs of New York? What's the star of that movie? What's the star of the movie The Gangs of New York? What's the star of that movie? What's the star of the movie the brother from the Gangs of New York? Is it what's his name? I could see his face. He played in the movie Django. I could see his face. DiCaprio. There we go. DiCaprio. They romantic, them in Romeo and Juliet. They romanticize the 5 Points family. They mentioned them in Romeo and Juliet. They romanticized the 5 Points family. They made it like a love story. He had to be with this girl, and he had to fight. He had to fight for his rights, and all this. He were fighting a girl, and he had to fight. He had to fight for his rights, and all this. He were fighting for survival. Their gangs are always fought for survival. Ours is just senseless unaliving. They try to make ours just senseless unalivings, and there was a fight for survival. There was a fight to make a name for themselves in a foreign country, and all. I mean, all this Hollywood that they do to it, right? But this is what it is, family. I want y'all to understand that, again, where were the Negroes? Where were the Negroes at? We were either under tyranny or we were enslaved while they were running around acting like they were thugs and criminals and committing the most heinous crimes and doing the most crazy scam. I mean, remember when I tell you immigrants, one of the things they for sure bring is scams, rackets. Look what's going on in Minnesota right now with the immigrants out there. The Somalians. Look at how many rackets they're getting caught for. Look at the Nigerian scams with the unalived, the death certificate, right? The life insurance scam they was running. The nursing scam, the fake nursing family. This is what they bring with them over here. They want to paint this picture that they work hard. They want to paint this picture that they work hard, but they forget to tell you, family. They forget to tell you, family, that they also bring crime. Y'all hold on real quick. I got to take care of something real quick. I'm gonna be right back. Y'all just hold on real quick. We're not even done. We haven't even scratched the surface yet, family. Just hold on real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's talk about the plug uglies, right? These were the election intimidators, right? These actors paid intimidating. Actors paid intimidating. They were paid. Where was black people doing all this? We were not. They were paid. Where was black people doing all this? We were not around. Oh, man. Can you hear me, fam? I have to start this live and come back. I might have to start this live and come back so that you guys can. It froze. Let me do this. Let me do this live and come back. I might have to start this live and come back so that you guys can. It froze. Let me do this. Let me do. All right, how about now, family? Can y'all hear me? All right, I took it off. I don't know what's going on. They don't want this to come out. They don't want this to come out. I'm hitting them, but I'm back. So listen, family. These were paid intimidators, right? Their job was to intimidate voters, the plug uglies, beat opposition, physically prevent certain people, especially black people, from voting, black men from voting when enfranchised in some northern areas before being pushed back out. That was their job. Their job was to prevent their job was to intimidate you to make sure you vote for the candidate that they want you to vote for. Again, family, listen, when did you hear about a black gang intimidating voters? When have you ever heard about that? We don't do stuff like that. That don't come from us. Organized crime doesn't come from us. It started with them. Why does this matter? These weren't petty crimes, family. These were organized street militias tied to political machines, especially Tammany Hall. But here's what they didn't teach us. Here's what they forgot to leave out. Here's what they didn't want anybody to know. These were not black gangs. These early gangs were YT ethnic immigrant formations. They justified violence, extortion, robbery, and murder under the banner of poverty, pride, and politics. Yet somehow, later in American culture, YT gangs became folk legends. Black gangsters became the downfall of society. Notice all they talk about is Chicago, 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 Chicago. But they never want to talk about the 5 Points, New York. They never want to talk about the early gang thuggery and violence that they committed, that their forefathers committed. Family, listen. Name me a YT hero. Name me an Irish hero. Name me a German hero. I'm waiting. I want to hear it. They all got their money. They all got their start coming straight out the slums. Straight out the slums. Straight out of life. Like straight out of Compton, they came straight out of life, off the boat, into thuggery, into crime, into syndicates. And that's how they got their start, family. They've been thugs, bullies, criminals from the very start. All the while, they can't blame it on black folks because we weren't even around. We weren't even in their communities like that, family. We were over in our own little enclave, pushed aside. No, I did say straight out of life. I did say straight out of life. They came straight out of life. Okay? LICE. They came straight out of life. Okay? Started the first organized gang. See, again, in the 1800s, again, family, where were the Negroes? We weren't around in the early 1800s like that. We were enslaved or in the North under tyranny, family. That's it. Let's talk about the street wars, family. The street wars, the Irish Dead Rabbits clashed with the Bowery Boys and the 5 Points in a war so intense. Go watch the gangs in New York. You see how intense it was. Newspapers documented it as a literal battle of the gangs. The newspapers said battle of the gangs. Citywide brawls happened in broad daylight. Hundreds of fighters on both sides. Gunfire, stabbings, property destruction, full-scale warfare in the streets of New York. And what did officials do? Police Man, listen, they be telling on themselves, family. They be telling on themselves, family. They be telling on themselves, family. They be telling on themselves. Go back and watch the gangs in New York. What did the police do in the gangs in New York, family? What did the police do? They either watched or took sides. Some officers were ex-gang members, family, of the same gangs. And some of the politicians use these gangs to win elections. Family, what black gang was doing that? What black gangs were becoming police officers and taking sides with the actual gangs? We weren't doing none of that, family, because again, where were we in the early 1800s, family? We were under tyranny or slavery. Are we blaming all the Irish or all the Germans? No, man, we just pointing out the facts. We are naming historically documented street organizations. We're naming them. We're exposing that America's gang culture didn't begin in Watts or Chicago. It began here, 5 Points, New York. That's where it all started. It didn't start with black folks. We were just the scapegoats. That's it. None of this started with us. And yet years later, when gangs formed in black neighborhoods, often as protection and against the brutality or racial terror from the police, they were immediately condemned as proof of black pathology. Think about that, family. These gangs get to fight for pride, get to fight for territory. They get to fight for survival. They were fighting for survival. But our gangs, black gangs, guess what, family? They come from broken homes, no fathers in them. They were just fighting for, they're just a criminal element. They're just super predators. All the while, our gangs actually started for a reason. Our gangs actually started out as very positive. Our gangs often started out as protection against police brutality or racial terror. That's where our gangs come from. Their gangs come from them being uneducated, can't speak a lick of English, lice, poverty, no skills. They can't go to work and get a job because they don't got no skills. So the only thing they could do was become thugs and criminals. And they were allowed to be thugs and criminals and walk their ass right into the White House, right into the politics, right into generational wealth. Think about that, family. We were denied access, and we weren't the criminals, and we were still denied the access, but they let the criminals walk their ass straight from the slums of life into the hearts and minds of every home in America under the guise of politicians. Think about that, family. That's crazy. Where was the language when the 5 Point gangs were tearing New York apart? See, this is how it starts, right? 5 Point gangs, born from poverty and survival. Later black gangs, born from poverty and survival. Same thing, right? Kind of similar. Territory based, both. Everything was based in territory. Connected to politics, they were definitely connected to politics. Black gangs, were they connected to politics? Maybe sometimes, maybe a little bit. And that's more like we were, how can I say that? We were the things that politicians pointed their finger at so they can get past their bogus laws and beef up security on the police and things like that, militarize the police. We were always on the other side of politics. We were always used as the scapegoat in politics, right? So they can pass more pew pew laws, right? So they can pass more, immigrant laws and things. We were always used as the negative, never the positive, right? But they were actually used in politics to enforce and help certain politicians get elected. Media portrayal, romanticize, historicize black gangs, demonized. I want y'all to see that. Cultural narratives, hard times made them tough. That's what they got, right? Irish and German, they went through some hard times that made them tough, blah, 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 blah. Black gangs, it's black culture. Black culture breeds violence. Black culture is just so terrible. All the thuggish, ruggish bones and the bad music, and they want to label our culture. But they forget to talk about the Dead Rabbits. They forget to talk about the Bowery Boys. They forget to talk about the Plug Uglies. They forget to talk about the natives, man. They forget to talk about the early gangs of New York, the 5 Points New York gangs. They want to label us as the problem. Again, family, I want to remind y'all, where were black people in the 5 Points? There were some. We had some black. There was definitely a black community in the 5 Points, but it was very small. Small in comparison to what was going on. Many FBAs were still enslaved in the South or recently displaced. Again, family, we weren't even thinking like that, family. We couldn't think like that, family. We existed near the chaos, but we did not create the organizations leading it. We did not. But what happens when chaos exists near black people in America? Historically, we become the scapegoat. If there's a black community next to a white community that's thugging it up, that's causing organized crime, because we're in proximity, because we're next to it, because we're not too far away, we become the scapegoats. That's what happens. Family, black people are already being watched. We couldn't even walk down the street without paper. Family, the slave catching laws, family, if you didn't have your paperwork, they were hauling your butt down back into slavery in the South. I don't care if you were indigenous black, if you had African ancestry black, if you were caught without your paperwork, you were going back to some plantation. And sometimes they just said, hell, we just going to catch us one and bring them down south so they can get terrorized. Think about that, family. Where were black people when all this gang and stuff was started? As gang warfare raged, a new force stepped in, not to end it, but to harness it. Politics saw an opportunity in chaos. Politicians used the tyranny that was going on in the 5 Points to rise to fame. Family, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna have to make this like a 2-part. I'm gonna have to make this like maybe even a 3-part because I'm not even done yet. I got tons of stuff I need to talk about. But listen, family, I'm gonna open it up. I'll wait probably like, there's not a lot of people in the room today, so I'll wait like 2 minutes. If anybody want to come up and chop it up, we can come up and chop it up. If not, I'm going to stop it right here and most likely end the live and just come back tomorrow, man, for part 2 of episode 2. It's going to be part 2 of episode 2 because we're still on the 5 points and the false blame. When immigrant gangs met black survivors, what we're probably going to dive into a lot tomorrow is we're going to talk about Tammany Hall and when gangs became government. When gangs became government, family. I want y'all to understand, man. Listen, this is y'all homework. Go back and watch The Gangs of New York. Go back and check out that movie, The Gangs of New York. And then we're going to chop it up and we're going to talk about the political infrastructure that rallied around the gang activity. So if anybody want to come up, just request up. I'll bring you up and we'll chop it up. I'll give y'all a second. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to play the music as we go out. You know, I want y'all to just really, you know, get into it. Play some music when we go out. But family, my question is, when all this violence was going on in the 5 points, where were black people? Go back and watch the movie Gangs of New York. Ask yourself, where were the black people during this time? Ask yourself, what year was this? It clearly wasn't the 1900s. This was early 1800s, Gangs of New York. This was like around 1830. I think the Gangs of New York started. It might even be early 1900. And this stuff was going on, man. But where were black people? We didn't start the gangs. We still today don't even have any organized crime. Organized crime and black people are still not synonymous, so we didn't start organized crime. Black Panthers, we were organized with the Black Panthers, but again, these were community initiatives. We started our gangs based on real survival and real tyranny that was going on. We needed to protect ourselves from police brutality and white supremacy. That's where our gang started. We actually had to protect ourselves. Why did the YT gang start? Why did the YT gang start? Why did the Irish? Why did the German? Why did they start gangs when they first came out? Or why couldn't they just be good citizens, work hard, right? Mind their business, work hard. Why did the politicians start getting involved? Why were the politicians the biggest criminals of that time? Let's ask that question. Why were the politicians the biggest criminals of that time? Y'all show me some black people that were where this all supposedly started from. How did we become the degenerate people? How did we become the scapegoats of America and possibly the world? Because Africans, Caribbeans come over here and they dump their crime on black American, and then they dip out when it's suitable for them. How did we let this happen, family? Especially in the early 1800s, where the hell was black people? Where were we at? We were enslaved or under tyranny during that time, family. We weren't involved in no gang activity. We were really trying to survive. A lot of us were indigenous and aboriginals to this land, right? So we were dealing with the government misusing us and abusing us. You know what I'm saying? But YT people were starting gangs. YT were turning their gangs, their crews, into organized crime. Rackets. That's where you get the word racketeering from. That don't come from black people, that come from them. But yet, they got to make up laws to keep us down, like the Mann Act. They got to make up laws they have to make movies like we just come from a degenerate criminal nature when it's really them. They just reversed it. They just put our face on the crimes that they commit on a daily basis, family. That's all they did. That's all they did. But listen, family, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I'm gonna play some music here in a minute, and we're gonna ride out to that. But I want to give y'all some quick announcement. If you're if you're a foundational Black American and you want to get plugged in at the grassroots level with what we're doing and how we're moving these days, man, I wish Cousin was here. He'd tell y'all to plug into the new Black media, Professor Black Truth, 𝗔𝗯𝐿, Vicky Dillard, Afro Elite, Black Alpha Network, and a host of others, right? He'll tell you all that stuff. You know, you want to be plugged in at the grassroots level. But also, family, if you want to get plugged in and you want to know what we're doing, check us out on the Telegram. Go to fbacoin.org and join our Telegram. If you're a foundational Black American, you're welcome. Come in that space, man. We're chopping up strategy. We're doing some amazing things. If you don't know, we are having an invitation only NFT sale to seed the LP. If you're a foundational Black American, hit me up and I'll tell you all about how to be a part of the founders for the FBA coin. Also, family, I have my own NFT just for my channel. This is separate from the FBA coin. It only costs $1. By purchasing this NFT, it's special, it's unique. It's $1 for the NFT. If you're interested, just hit me up. I'll send you the link to go ahead and purchase my NFT for my channel. And what happens is every time one of my videos get over 25 likes or it gets over 500 views, a special NFT of that episode is going to be minted. And it's automatically, because you bought the one NFT, it's automatically going to come to your wallet. So all those who buy my $1 NFT for my channel, you're going to get future NFTs of probably the most viral moments of my video into your crypto wallet. So check that out. If you're interested, send me an invite. If you're on YouTube, just go ahead and bang my leave something in the comment or send me a email, and I'll get back to you. If you're on TikTok, just send me a message, a direct message, and I'll get back to you with the link saying I'm interested in the Too Much Moxie NFT coin or NFT. And I'll send you the NFT, and you purchase that one NFT. And I don't know how long it's going to be, $1, fam. I don't know how long it's going to be like that. But for right now, just $1, and you get all of my future episodes that go viral. So all of my episodes that do over 500 views and 25 likes, you're going to get a special NFT minted for that episode sent to your wallet. So, family, we're going to ride out. Listen, family, it's always a pleasure. We're going to ride out to music this time. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for those who came in and supported. I appreciate you. Thank you for those who gave the likes and the gifts. I appreciate you. Tune back in tomorrow. We're going to do part 2. We're going to stay on their heads. I'm standing on business, family. Black people, we are not synonymous with crime. That's the immigrant class, and I'm sticking to that. With that being said, family, peace, love, reparations, and the blockchain. We riding out to some music. Check it out.
Long ago, the goat took the blame. Hands pressed, sins confessed. They sent it away. Out the city gates. Burned up what wasn't its own. But what happens when that goat got rhythm?
When that goat got rhythm.
Calls its song crime. Yeah. This one's for the scapegoats.
For the scapegoats. Come on.
They laid hands on us, made us carry their wrongs. Wrote their laws in blood, we wrote freedom in songs. Scapegoat,
alright, y'all.
Yeah, the ritual repeats from
what's up, Alfonso? I'm out of trouble. I'm always out of trouble, brother.
Break when truth gets too loud. Built the nation's backbone, they erase us from the crowd. They brought the mob and crazy crime hid in the suits, but blame the block for the fruits of their own roots. They profit off sin and wash hands clean while we get the cuffs and the guillotine dream. Yet we still sing mercy, still move divine, even when the cross and the
I'm always out of trouble, baby.
Let the light redeem.
All right, y'all. See y'all tomorrow. This is Too Much Moxie. Peace, love, reparations, and the blockchain. Come back tomorrow, Alfonso. I got more for y'all. I got more trouble for y'all. Take care. Peace.